CTV News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. It is another devastating report on what's happened to Quebec taxpayer money. Quebec's Auditor General says the CAQ government took risks and the planning was poor for what turned out to be a failed $2.2 billion dream to make the province a leader in the maker of electric batteries. Olivia O'Malley reports.
Quebec's Auditor General says the CAQ government took significant risks and showed poor planning for $2.2 billion worth of investments in battery companies.
They didn't have set any objective, any timeline, any targets.
The report released by Christine Roy analyzed 11 companies in the battery sector. 2 of those have suspended or abandoned their projects. 4 have filed for creditor protection, including battery manufacturer Northvolt and Lion Electric, known for building electric school buses. The report estimates the provincial government gave nearly $700 million to those 4 companies. Roy says the total amount of public funds lost is difficult to determine.
We will know the final number in a few years, probably.
The audit looked at 2020 to 2025. Pierre Fitzgibbon was the economy minister at the time before leaving politics in 2024. The responsibility of these investments then went to the current premier, Christine Fréchette.
When I arrived at the Energy Ministry, I decided not to finance anymore 2 important projects, Northvolt and Lion Electric. And those 2 projects, they represent 95% of the losses that we've had because of the battery sector investments.
Following the report's release, the investments came under fire during question period at the National Assembly. The Liberal Party says the CAQ poorly managed them from the start.
We've seen experts recommending not to go ahead with some of these investments, and yet the CAQ has decided to go forward without taking into account these advice. And you know what? Christine Fréchette is as responsible as any other of the ministers in that Conseil des Ministres, because you know what? She was part of the gang.
The report also says that there were no follow-up on the conditions imposed for the financial aid. Economy Minister Bernard Drinville says the government promises to improve and tighten the rules. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News, Quebec City.
2 people died overnight, the result of a police chase in Coteau-du-Lac. Their car plunged into a river. At around 1 o'clock this morning, SQ officers gave chase after a vehicle refused to pull over. Minutes later, the car went over a guardrail and landed upside down in the Delisle River. The 18-year-old driver and a passenger died. The BEI is now investigating. There was a vigil last night in memory of Ava Ciampini. The little girl was killed during a storm in a park in LaSalle. Today, her father spoke of the support the community's given him and his family. Here's Matt Grillo.
Heartbroken, still waiting to wake up from a bad dream.
Each day, Luca Ciampini spends time at the park where the memorial for his daughter Ava continues to grow.
She'd be so happy to see all these things.
What's helping the family right now is the outpouring of support.
It's really like just having extra hugs and extra love from the whole community. Just remember her in all the best ways possible, to give us that smile and to give us that strength to be able to wake up every day and do the best we can in this unimaginable time.
Last week's tragic event happened at a park that means a lot to the Ciampini family.
I had asked my wife to be my girlfriend 18 years ago. Asked her to marry me down there 5 years ago. Yesterday was beautiful and, brought some joy to such a tragic event in this park that, it was really, really beautiful. Just seeing everyone gather together and all the love. So I really wasn't expecting all that, but it was truly special, and I'll remember it forever.
The Ciampinis have another child, a young son.
He turned 1 on June 3rd, so a couple days right after the incident happened, we had to gear up and celebrate his first birthday during the most unimaginable times of our lives.
Ava's memory will live on through others because at just 3 years old, she's an organ donor.
The whole thing behind it was that we wanted her to live a whole life and remember her legacy and her final act was a heroic one, and you know, donating her organs, she was able to save multiple lives.
While still dealing with the loss, the family wants to honor their daughter and ensure she's never forgotten.
There definitely will be something, and we'll make sure that our daughter's name lives on forever and she's a part of it.
Matt Grillo, CTV News.
3 teenagers are being granted bail. They were arrested in connection with the murder of a man at Walmart last week. Stéphane Giroux explains why they were released.
The 22-year-old Edmonton man was stabbed to death inside this Walmart in Montreal North. 3 15-year-olds were charged with various counts, ranging from second-degree murder to weapons charges. In youth court today, 2 of the 3 teenagers were released in the care of their parents. In legal terms, it means that if they breach release conditions, their parents have the obligation to immediately call police. The boys cannot own any weapons, they can only leave home to attend school, and they're not allowed to get in touch with each other until the end of the trial. Parents were told through a Spanish language interpreter that they are now responsible for their children's actions if they don't follow the court orders.
They're still going to be detained in the sense of the law, but they're going to be put in the responsibility of one of their parents under conditions. So they're still detained, but one of their parents will take care of them under strict conditions at home.
The third accused was released on a regular bail, so he did not have to get his parents to testify. But he also has to follow the exact same conditions and follow a strict curfew until the trial.
It depends if the parent is able and wants to take care of the child. So that's the criteria that the judge has to take care.
The prosecution says it chose not to charge a 4th teenager who was arrested at the same time as the 3 others. But that could change in the future, says the prosecution.
At this point of time, we don't have the full, complete evidence, so it is still possible that more charges will come eventually. But as for now, we couldn't put charges against them.
The accused are now set to return to court at the end of August. And if they're found guilty, they could face a maximum of 7 years detention under Canada's youth justice system. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
A silver alert has been issued for a 75-year-old woman in Montreal. Kira Tarcha was last seen just after midnight last night in the riding of Rosemont-La Petite Patrie. She was wearing black pants and a gray patterned sweater. Police say she has serious cognitive issues and could be disoriented. Anyone who's seen her is asked to call 911. The Carney government has tabled its new Digital Safety Act. It will block access to social media platforms for children under the age of 16. And it creates a new regulator, the Digital Safety Commission of Canada. Social media platforms will be able to obtain an exemption if they have put sufficient safeguards in place. Platforms that offer adult content would not be able to get an exemption. The bill would also regulate chatbots. They will be required to act responsibly through measures such as crisis intervention protocols. Overall, the bill covers 7 types of harmful content, including content that induces a child to harm themselves, content that incites violence and foments hatred.
While there are some benefits to these platforms, the rapid integration of social media and AI into their everyday life has outpaced the protections needed to keep them safe. Said another way, young people's engagement with the online world is the largest fully unregulated clinical trial affecting human development in the history of human civilization.
Like so many moms and dads across this country, I have raised my kids in a digital world that moves sometimes faster than many of us parents feel we can actually keep up with. And I know very personally the stress and worry that underpins conversations about how to use your phone, which apps, screen time limits, boundaries, group chats, and all of these types of things.
Students at Marymount High School in NDG reacted to the proposed ban today. Matt Gilmore has more on that.
This group of students has just finished a final exam. They're gathered on the front steps of Marymount High to debrief and check social media. It's a ritual that's already not allowed inside the building, but for students under 16 could soon be banned altogether.
I think not going in social media would be a positive thing for me, and I wouldn't really be offended by it, but I would definitely miss going in social media.
Addiction comes up a lot when talking to high schoolers about their phone use.
It is very addictive. I find myself using it way too much. I feel like it is a problem.
But they're doubtful a ban would accomplish anything.
If people really want to be on social media, they would just fake their age.
Morally and ethically, it's not something we're against. However, practically, we just don't see how something like this can be enforced.
The English Parents Committee Association agrees children will likely find a way around a ban.
We believe the school needs to take a lead in teaching children about the ill effects of being online too much, spotting fake news, being a good digital citizen, understanding that this is an addictive thing, understanding what this can do to your mental health.
At the English Montreal School Board, those types of classes do exist. CTV News sat in on one at East Hill Elementary in 2024.
The debate shouldn't be around a total ban or, a free-for-all. As I said, we should be educating the children about the dangers of addiction.
What's clear is that the students we spoke to understand the dangers and have experienced the harms firsthand.
Anything that I'm insecure about makes me more insecure for me. So that's really make it hard for me to be happy with myself.
But putting the phone down is easier said than done.
It's just hard because this is how I spend my free time.
Yeah, you don't know what else to do, I guess, with the time? Or
I used to, but not anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does that make you sad a little?
Yeah, it does. It really does, yeah.
Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
The Fréchette government will reinstate the Quebec Experience program as of July 2nd, and it will last 2 years. The program was cut by the Legault government, but Christine Fréchette had promised to bring it back. It aims to fast-track temporary residence to permanent status and is for those already in Quebec or who want to come for work or study. The minister in charge of it says the program is very popular.
Maybe we will receive 15,000, 16,000. We're expecting at the minister 8 to 12,000, but like I said, there's no, we don't have at the top. So there's no cap, pardon me. There's no cap. So if we're receiving 15,000 to 20,000 people who declare their interest in the Programme d'Expérience Québécoise, we will treat these admissions.
So the first applications will be for people who qualified for the PEC when it was shut down, and after that, new applicants will be accepted. A new poll is showing that the CAQ has gained in support under Premier Christine Fréchette at the expense of the Liberals. The Synopsis poll shows the PQ still leads with 31% support. The Liberals are second with 25%, and the CAQ is now closing that gap with 21%. The PQ says it is against plans for a multi-billion-dollar high-speed rail project. It would connect Toronto and Quebec City. And it would appear that many farmers agree. Geneviève Beauchemin has more.
Farmers took their protest to Parliament Hill today, intent on derailing the Alto high-speed train project.
I'm the 7th generation on the farm, and the train, it's really not good for the next generations, and it can destroy agriculture.
They say they fear losing land, losing part of their livelihood. Conservatives lent their support to their cause.
To fight for our rural communities, to fight for our taxpayers and for affordability against this $90 billion Liberal white elephant.
This and other signs say farmers of growing opposition. On Tuesday, the Parti Québécois vowed to withdraw Quebec's support for the high-speed train project if elected in the October provincial vote, and it's leading in the polls. It says the goal of the project is bolstering Canadian unity and says the central issue for Quebecers is local mobility, not travel to Ontario. But several mayors, including Montreal's and Quebec City's, defended the 1,000-kilometre electric rail corridor to link Toronto to Quebec City. It's good for the economy, they say, good for the environment. The federal government says it would create more than 50,000 jobs and that Ottawa is footing the bill.
This is a project, a formidable nation-building project that includes Quebec. And of course, were it not to include Quebec, then there's really no project. But it is a federal project.
But in Mirabel, opposition is particularly fierce. Thousands of farms were expropriated decades ago for an airport terminal that never really took off. They want to stop any train project that could section out the region.
And farmers say they'll continue to hold protests, continue to try to have their voices heard by Ottawa. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Mirabel, Quebec.
The City of Montreal has decided to lead by example in its call for people to cut back on water use. It shut down its fountains as we head into the summer. Laurence Brisson-Debreu reports.
These fountains are usually part of the summer backdrop, but in parts of Montreal, they've been switched off. The city says it's trying to practice what it preaches. As officials ask residents to reduce water use, they've suspended some of their own water-consuming activities. That includes decorative fountains across much of the city. The push comes before emergency repairs on a major water pipe on Atwater Avenue. The quiet fountains are hard to miss, and they're getting people talking.
Big fountains like this is kind of sad, and I feel bad for the birds, honestly, because I like to see them have their little baths.
These Montrealers believe their usage isn't the problem.
All the time I see the people watering the grasses and filling up the swimming pool, and nobody say they're going to stop and they're not going to do it. They do it anyway.
You can reuse the water, you know what I mean? And it's so good like for our nature and for our environment.
While water use has fluctuated over the past 2 weeks, it has remained below the city's cap of 1.45 billion liters. But with hotter weather still ahead, officials say residents need to keep up their efforts. In a statement to CTV News, a spokesperson says it is essential that citizens continue their efforts as summer and warmer temperatures arrive in Montreal. The city says fountains without recirculation systems have been shut down. Others were turned off to set an example. Some remain open, including those at Place des Festivals, Square Viger, and Phillips Square. And splash pads across the city are continuing to operate. The next phase of the water main repairs is expected to begin in July and last about 6 weeks. Until then, the city hopes small changes by residents will help keep water use in check. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
There is a new entrance to a century-old library that famously straddles the Canada-U.S. border. Last year, the Trump administration limited access to Canadians. Today, Canadians got a door of their own. Sweeta Rassi has more.
These are the first people to officially walk through the new Canadian entrance. The Haskell Free Library sits on the Canada-U.S. border. The main entrance is in Vermont, but for generations, there was an unspoken rule. The people in Stansted, Quebec were allowed to walk around the building, cross into the U.S., and just simply walk in the library.
Fermé.
But last year, the Trump administration ended that arrangement.
I guess there's the symbolism of being told, no, you can't use the front door, use the back door, the service entrance or whatever.
So instead, Canadians had to take a detour.
Having Canadians enter through an illogical side door that required them to go up multiple flights of stairs, go through the Opera House, come down the stairs, get into the library, that's not setting a welcoming or a sense of belonging. It's really sending the opposite message.
Vermont State Treasurer Mike Pichak framed that message simply.
You really have a choice. You can either build a wall or you can build a bridge.
So the community decided to build a bridge, or rather, a door located on the Canadian side. It cost nearly $700,000, and people from all over the world pitched in.
People from California, people from Europe, people from, I'm telling you, from all around the country. Wow.
Today, they saw the fruit of their labor, a new Canadian entrance and an end to the detour. For some U.S. residents, this entire ordeal was a step too far.
Oh, I think it's ridiculous, the closing of the entrance. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, we love Canada.
Yeah.
We love our Canadian neighbors.
For the mayor of Stansted, Jody Stone, today was proof.
We found a way, and here we are today.
That even in divided times, The two communities will always keep a door open for each other. Sweet Arasi, CTV News, Stansted.
Coming up, Donald Trump is losing patience.
We hit him hard yesterday, and we're going to hit him again hard today.
An American helicopter was downed, and the war with Iran is escalating. And what happens to trade talks? Donald Trump says Canada has nothing he needs. Donald Trump made it clear today he has no plans to renew a trade deal with Canada. He says the U.S. doesn't need anything Canada or Mexico has. Abigail Beeman has more from Ottawa.
Well, I'm not looking to renew it.
Donald Trump says he's not interested in renewing the North American Free Trade Pact as Canada pushes for a full 16-year extension.
I don't know that I'm going to renew it because, to be honest with you, the United States does much better. Hey, we don't need anything that Canada has. We don't need anything that Mexico has, but they need everything that we have. And they have to treat us better.
The comments come on the heels of Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc's trip to Washington to meet with his counterpart, Jameson Greer.
I'm eternally optimistic, Abigail.
And Ontario Premier Doug Ford's attempt at a charm offensive in D.C., meeting 20-plus business leaders and lawmakers.
They rolled out the red carpet for us. They treat us so well.
The July 1st deadline for a CUSMA review now just weeks away, but trade experts and Canadian government officials alike trying to calm concerned stakeholder nerves that passing that deadline with no deal doesn't mean CUSMA falls apart, and Americans haven't signaled an intent to tear it up. But uncertainty is a real problem.
We've seen it so many times now. We know this is just how this guy talks in public. We know this is just the way he thinks he negotiates. Creates the specter that he's going to walk away from CUSMA.
No official comment from LeBlanc's office nor the Prime Minister's office, but Mark Carney has said several times he won't comment every time Trump speaks. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Donald Trump today promised more strikes in Iran in retaliation for the downing of an American helicopter, and that's raising questions about the status of any negotiations. Olivia Rubin has details.
Today, President Trump saying the United States will launch more attacks in Iran.
We hit him hard yesterday, and we're going to hit him again hard today.
The escalation coming after the downing of an American helicopter this week.
We're going to be attacking them very hard.
You're resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, we are. Based on the helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that.
U.S. CENTCOM saying they already struck Iranian assets overnight. Iran responding with strikes towards U.S. targets in the region. Bahrain and Kuwait saying those missiles were intercepted. The president today making it clear he's losing patience with Iran with no agreement on the table, warning they will, quote, pay the price for taking too long to make a deal, saying, quote, they keep playing us for suckers.
They should sign their deal. It's a good deal.
Iran's president writing on social media they will, quote, stand firm against any pressure or threat. An Iranian general going further, saying, quote, every time Trump speaks, we punch him in the mouth again. Meanwhile, U.S. Central Command saying it disabled a vessel in the Gulf of Oman today after they say it failed to comply with orders. President Trump praising the naval blockade of Iranian ports, today claiming the U.S. has been secretly, quote, taking out millions of barrels of oil through the Strait of Hormuz.
You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it.
And Trump today is sharing new details about that helicopter attack, saying an Iranian drone lodged into the helicopter but didn't explode. Both of the pilots were rescued. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, New York.
A Quebec Superior Court judge has stopped the city of Montreal from dismantling a homeless encampment that's under the Van Horn overpass. It's a temporary reprieve pending a legal challenge. 10 people are living in tents near the Van Horn skate park and basketball court in the plateau. The city wanted the people to move out to ensure safe use of the park. The problem is finding a place for the residents to relocate. Leaders of Montreal's Asian communities are denouncing anti-Semitism. They say they stand in solidarity with the Jewish community after a Westmount synagogue was attacked on Friday. A man of Chinese background is accused of an attempted arson at the Temple Emmanuel El Beth Shalom. Leaders say they condemn the act of violence.
An attack on a place of worship is more than an act of vandalism. It is an attack on a sense of security that allows communities to gather, celebrate their identity, and practice their faith without fear. Today, I stand in solidarity with the Jewish community because the attack against one minority community should concern every minority community.
We want to be safe and secure and protected and strong, but we also want to continue doing, as our communities have done for hundreds of years, to build and to contribute to this society.
The group is calling for more resources, including more funding for the Montreal Police Hate Crimes Unit. They are still searching a soccer field in Joliette. It's believed an indigenous baby was buried there more than 50 years ago. The child was 2.5 months old in 1973 when her family was told she died of pneumonia at a hospital in Joliette. Her body was never released to the family. Last month, a Quebec judge authorized the exhumation process. 4 locations in the field are being searched. An Ontario provincial police officer is being killed in the line of duty. Constable Taran Bali died yesterday. He was struck by a vehicle during an investigation in Hearst in northern Ontario. An 18-year-old man has been arrested and faces first-degree murder charges. Bali was 29 years old. He'd been with the force 2.5 years. He served in the James Bay detachment. And coming up, a young boy is tackling a big issue.
I'm straight.
He wants safer roads, and he's demanding to be heard. And the governor of the Bank of Canada explains his rate decision.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, it's a tale of 2 weather stories today. There's the heat and humidity. We had a daytime high of 28 degrees, feeling like 33 with the humidex. And then there is the severe thunderstorm watch, which was issued early this morning. Environment and Climate Change Canada wanted to let us know we could see anywhere between 10 to 20 millimeters of rain, along with this potential of a thunderstorm. Now we're holding on to that risk for the next couple of hours, as well as the rain into the early morning. Now let's put our futurecast into motion and see what else we're dealing with. So according to our futurecasts, parts of the city could already be dealing with some wet weather, and it looks like around 7 or 8 we could start to see the risk of thunderstorms here in Montreal. We continue to put our futurecast into motion. We do get a break in the rain, but once again it continues into the early morning hours, and we do start Thursday off once again with a risk of showers. We can see a spotty system that's bringing that risk in our vicinity of Montreal. Cloudy skies to start. Throughout the afternoon, we do look at some partly cloudy skies, so those clouds should clear, but once again, there is a 40% chance of some showers later in the evening, so around 4 to 6 p.m. we could see some showers in Montreal. Now, as we head into our Friday, we're starting the day off with cloudy skies, and once again, we could see potentially some rain and the risk of some thunderstorms on Friday. Overnight tonight, along with that 10 to 20 millimeters of rain, a low of 21 degrees. Our highs this time of year would typically be 23, so we're holding on to some of that heat. Definitely a night where you're going to want to use everything at your disposal to stay cool. We start the day off with rain, then seeing partly cloudy skies and the risk of some showers tomorrow in the afternoon, and it will be 29, feeling like 35. Our longer range forecast shows that there's a risk of thunderstorms on Friday, and we could see 15 millimeters on Sunday. The weekend on Saturday particularly is looking great, and if we fast forward to next week, on Wednesday we're anticipating 3 millimeters of rain with a high of 22.
A 9-year-old boy from Pancourt is determined to make school zones safer for children. His petition has made it all the way to the National Assembly. Anastasia Dextrine reports.
École Notre-Dame de Lorette in Pincourt, Quebec is home to roughly 450 students, including Alexander Massey.
I'm 5th grade.
At 9 years old, he's tackling what he says is a big issue. It comes up every day on his walk to school.
A lot of cars go really fast. They don't park at the same place, at a good place. Once in winter, there was a car that got super fast and it was drifting.
Massey and his mom, Annie-Claude Desrosiers, say there have been several road safety issues in the area, particularly near the intersection of Lucier Avenue and Cardinal Léger Boulevard. The boulevard is a two-way street. It has a bike path, but no sidewalk.
December 23rd, there is a young children that had been hit by a car, so it's a real problem for Pincourt.
This, despite speed bumps, no parking signs, and signals indicating a clear 30-kilometer zone. But residents say they need more.
I moved here about 20 years ago. They have added some safety measures, although I think more work could be improved.
Because of not enough bus pathway, our children sometimes walk in the streets.
That's why Massey is taking what started as a school project all the way to the top. He's petitioning for measures including safer infrastructure near schools, more radars, and crossing guards. And after a 5-month campaign, he's caught the attention of politicians, including MNA Marie-Claude Nicole.
There's a lot of things to do, and he's got a lot of solutions. So we will try to work with the city, work with the police, work with the school also. So, but I'm sure we can do something for sure.
A worthwhile battle for Massey as he advocates for other students and shows that age is no roadblock to being heard. Anastasia Dextrine, CTV News.
Coming up, she broke codes in World War II.
When I come to think about it, I suppose when I was 6 is a lot of days.
One of the Enigma girls is celebrating a big birthday.
For breaking news and local news that matters to you, download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Your Health, brought to you by Gratianscap's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
We're constantly being told about ways to reduce inflammation in our bodies, but inflammation isn't necessarily a bad thing. Dr. Christopher Labos is a cardiologist. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Mitz.
So, Chris, we do need inflammation, right? It is a defense mechanism in our bodies.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what your immune system is. Anytime your body fights off an infection, it's using inflammation. Inflammation is what gives you a fever. Inflammation is what makes a wound red and inflamed and allows it to heal. Basically, without inflammation, your body would not be able to fight infections. Case in point, if you're given medication that suppresses your immune system, that suppresses inflammation, it actually increases your risk of having an infection. So you're right, it is a critical defense mechanism in our body.
So when does inflammation become a hazard to us?
It's when the inflammatory response is too severe, right? When it tips in the other direction and it starts to damage normal healthy tissues, that's when it becomes a problem, because in the same way that the inflammatory response is going to kill off bacteria and viruses, it can also start attacking normal tissue and start causing a host of diseases from arthritis to gastrointestinal problems to sort of everything.
So what can cause chronic inflammation, Chris?
So a lot of it is genetics. Your body has been pre-programmed for some reason to have this sort of excessive immune response. And there's probably not much you can do about that. But there's a lot of other factors that play into it as well beyond genetics. So your diet has an impact. Obesity can increase the levels of inflammatory markers. Smoking can increase the levels of inflammatory markers. And a lot of other conditions like diabetes and high cholesterol can also increase the amount levels of inflammatory markers. So some of it is genetics, but some of it is stuff that is under your control as well.
So chronic inflammation is a risk factor for a lot of serious diseases. I mean, I've heard cancer, heart disease, autoimmune disorders. Why?
So there's two things going on. One of it is because inflammatory markers are increased by things like smoking, a lot of it is that inflammation is sort of a bystander to the risk factors that increase the inflammation in your body. So smoking increases your inflammatory markers and also increases your risk of cancer. Inflammation is basically a confounder. But even setting that aside, inflammation does seem to have a direct effect on a lot of these conditions as well. So inflammation can damage the walls of your arteries and allows the cholesterol and the plaque to form. Inflammation can also damage normal tissue, which then makes it easier for cancer cells to grow. It also promotes the growth of new blood vessels, which also then feeds new cancer cells and allows them to metastasize. So the inflammation itself, irrespective of the things that are driving it, does seem to increase the risk of many chronic diseases like heart disease and cancer.
On social media, Chris, we see people talking about something called fiber maxing. There are digital detoxes to fight inflammation. Is there anything to do that? I mean, first off, do they do anything, and can they do harm?
Well, they can certainly do harm, especially when people take it to extremes, which is part of the problem. Like, look, here's the thing. Fiber maxing, look, we all need fiber in our diet, otherwise you become constipated. But to start taking excessive amounts of fiber thinking that it's going to do anything, no, that's not going to accomplish anything. I mean, a digital detox is a great idea. It's basically just putting your phone away and going outside and getting exercise. So, you know, in that respect, yes. The problem is, inflammation has almost become a buzzword. It's a thing people say on social media to sort of garner attention. In and of itself, it's not something that you should be excessively worrying about, and you should just be trying to sort of be healthy rather than focusing on a lot of these trends.
So you've been talking a lot about lifestyle factors. I mean, is that the best way then to fight inflammation?
Yeah, so there's two aspects of it. If you have a genetic problem where your immune system is attacking your cell, like if you have, you know, rheumatoid arthritis or Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis or conditions that are chronic inflammatory conditions, there are medications that treat these medical problems, right? You should get the appropriate treatment that's going to suppress the particular immune marker that's causing a problem in your body. So there are medications for autoimmune conditions. But if you're looking for just general wellness advice, I mean, frankly, if you quit smoking, maintain a healthy body weight and exercise regularly, you're doing about as much as you can do for getting rid of excessive inflammation. It's not the boogeyman a lot of people make it out to be on social media. It's really just a marker of poor lifestyle habits for the majority of the population.
Interesting. Okay, thank you very much, Chris.
My pleasure. You take care.
As expected, the Bank of Canada held its rate steady today at 2.25%. The governor of the Bank of Canada says Canada is not quite in a recession, but he says there is economic turbulence and global uncertainty. Here's Rachel Aiello.
The uncertainty surrounding the fate of Canada's trade deal with the U.S. and the impact the war in the Middle East is having on global energy prices are among the main reasons for the central bank's decision. Today, Governor Tiff Macklem announced the Bank of Canada is holding the policy interest rate at 2.25%. Beyond global factors, Macklem cited a soft domestic economy as a contributing factor. But when asked whether he thinks Canada is in a recession, Macklem said that isn't the word he'd use.
Based on the data we've seen to date, the economy is weak, but it is not clearly in recession. There's been a lot of volatility, month to month, quarter to quarter. But when you look through the bumps, I mean, the economy hasn't really grown in the last year, but it hasn't shrunk either.
The central banker said economists typically define a recession as a significant contraction in economic activity that lasts more than one quarter. And in his estimation, that's not what Canada is experiencing so far. Despite what Macklem said today, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre continued to criticize the government for what he's calling a, quote, liberal recession. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Business News, brought to you by Oviedo Duluth, supporting families of sick children throughout the month of June.
And now here are some of the day's closing financial numbers in Toronto. The TSX was down 260 points to 34,151. In New York, the Dow closed down 953 points to 49,918. The S&P 500 finished the day 119 points lower to close at 7,266, and the Nasdaq was down 509 points to 25,169. And the Canadian dollar is trading slightly lower right now at 71.69 cents US. She was a codebreaker during the Second World War, and soon Wynne Beecroft will turn 106 years old. Here's Katie Griffin.
Happy birthday, dear Wynne.
Wynne Beecroft has a lot to celebrate.
I was born July the 2nd, 1920.
To mark turning 106 next month, afternoon tea at the Fairmont Chateau Laurier.
It's rather puzzling, but when I come to think about it, I suppose 106 is a lot of days.
Beecroft was born in England.
My mother, when I was young, told me I would never be anything but a servant. So I said, to heck with you.
Beecroft served with the Royal Air Force during the Second World War. She was one of the Enigma girls, helping to break the German code.
We tuned the dials and we tried to hear whatever Morse code was coming over from the enemy, as it were. If we got a full message on a full page, we used to call the supervisor. The supervisor would say, oh, hurry, 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 and off he'd go to send it off to headquarters.
She came to Canada in 1955 with her husband Rex and 3 children. The grandmother of 5, the backbone of her family.
She's had so many obstacles in her way in life. She's overcome them all. She's always been very, very loving and supportive.
This milestone celebration thanks to Wynne's friends.
As we go through life, it's very rare to find good friends that you have for years and years and years. And every year they become a little bit more precious.
The hotel pulling out all the stops.
When I got that email, I was like, immediately, this is so exciting, and how cool was it that they would choose us to celebrate with.
As for the secret to living such a long life, Beecroft says luck and eggs.
When I was a young girl, my mother put me on eggs. She said they were very good for me. So I've had 2 eggs every day since. And this is what I say when people say, what keeps you so young? I said 2 eggs a day.
Katie Griffin, CTV News.
The Montreal Victoire were honored today at the National Assembly. Catherine Dubois, Laura Stacey, Anne-Renée Desbiens, and Marie-Philippe Poulin were on hand with the Walter Cup. Captain Marie-Philippe Poulin said they weren't expecting all the cheers and the applause they got in the Salon Rouge.
It's funny because when that happened, we kind of caught us off guard, but we just chatted a little bit after. It was like, that was quite the rowdy in there. That was awesome for them to obviously cheer us on, and obviously Old Age is pretty special in Quebec, especially in hockey world, so it was awesome to see that.
The Director General of the City of Montreal is leaving. And Caroline, his payout is raising some eyebrows.
That's right. The city's Director General has received a very generous severance package from the Ferrada Martinez administration. We'll tell you what it is and what the party that put him in place is saying about it. We'll also have more on 2 young women who were injured in a nightclub shooting in Montreal and some arrests made in a stolen car ring that was being run by the Hells Angels. And there are some closures coming to Comilien-Oudoué over the mountain this summer. Not permanent ones, but ones you should know about. So lots to update you on. Join us tonight at 11:30 for the late news. Mitsumi?
Thanks very much, Caroline. And coming up, it is called a hand pan. So she found it one day and just started playing it.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here tonight on CTV.
A young musician has become a sensation playing an instrument called the hand pan. Danny New has more.
An 11-year-old from Germany has taken over social media. as she uses her two hands and an instrument called the handpan to send millions into a sort of atmospheric trance.
Do you hear the song in your head before you start playing, or does it all just come out of your hands?
It just comes out of my hands. I don't have any plan what I'm doing.
She goes by Sprites, and here's the thing, Sprites has had no formal handpan training. In March of last year, she just sort of picked up this instrument one day that her father, who's a musician, was actually trying to learn himself.
After practicing for about half a year, I was a little bit frustrated. But to play more, I put it in the living room, and that's when she started playing. And then I was even more frustrated.
Since then, Sprites has been continually developing her unique hand-panning style in the living room, which her parents have started sharing online.
It was so magical to watch because she didn't have any fear to make a mistake.
But Sprites loves to have fun and just see how far she can take her musicianship, like by playing the handpan while blindfolded and with a blanket on top, or even while drinking a glass of milk. And now Sprites has just released her first few singles with her debut album on the way. So far, her singles have hundreds of thousands of listens on streaming platforms like Spotify. However, Sprites does not seem to care too much about the numbers.
It's important to have fun, not to have many views or anything.
Danny New, ABC News, New York.
Oh, I'm looking behind you and I'm thinking thunder and lightning, very, very frightening, Lauren.
Yes, I like that expression. I may have to use it going forward next time we have a risk of a thunderstorm. And that's what we're dealing with this evening. Now, it looks like this should wrap up by 10 p.m. However, Environment Canada has not dropped this severe thunderstorm watch. So that's something to consider if you have plans to be out tonight. We do have around 10 to 20 millimeters of rain overnight expected. We start the day off with a few showers, then we see partly cloudy skies and hold on to a 40% chance of some showers later in the afternoon, calling for a daytime high of 29, but man, it's going to feel like 35.
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.